Today's cup of coffee comes to us from our beloved Yates, and this is a story about St. Helen's Church. And Yates writes, I once lived in an apartment at Great Oxenden Hall, which used to be the home of the Cunard shipping family until World War II. The hall was bought in the 70s and converted into apartments, and I was lucky enough to be able to rent the one above the front entrance. I had heard local legends that St. Helen's Church was one of the few listed as refusing to be built on the intended site. The church is some quarter of a mile over some fields from the tiny village, which in itself is odd, as old churches were usually in the center of the village. Legend has it that the church, 14th century I think, was planned to be built next to the hall. Groundwork was done over time, and the stones and building materials were deposited in the hall's grounds, the original hall being owned by some nobility. One morning it was found that all the ready-cut stones and wagons of material had been moved overnight and placed in a field some distance away from the hall. Although the many tons of stone and the numerous loaded wagons, minus the horses, could not possibly be moved in one night, they had moved. Also, the fields crossed were ditch and farrow, meaning no wagon would be able to traverse it. During the night of the move, not a sound was heard. So the laborious task was set to bring everything back onto the grounds of the hall. When all was returned, the same thing happened again. All materials were moved overnight and deposited in the same field as before. The Bishop of Lincoln was requested to come to the village for advice. He spent a few days at the hall investigating the supernatural happening. After much consultation with high clergy, he ordered the church be built at the spot in the field away from the village where it stands now. Trying to get more info on this, I stumbled across this article below, which I had no previous knowledge of. And this is from the website The Paranormal Database, examining folkloric, paranormal, and cryptozoological locations in the UK and beyond. There's an entry which has the paranormal sighting as follows. Legless Monk. Location, Great Oxenden, St. Helen's Church. Type, haunting manifestation. Date, time, mid to late 20th century. Further comments. This cowled figure has been seen drifting around the outside of the church by many of the local villages, a few reporting that it traveled several centimeters above the ground. Thank you, Yate. I appreciate it. You always have such amazing stories and different things to relay to us. I will put a link in the description box for the paranormal sighting site so that you can go and find out what else is on there. Might be lots of things that you may not have known in the area. I do wish that they had not been quite so clinical, if you want to say that, the way that they had written it up. I don't know. It was just very dry. It was like, I've read incident reports, police incident reports that had a little more oomph to them than this. And to see a legless monk, I think that that's worthy of a little more prose than what was on here. But that is an amazing tale as far as to have everything moved, all those building materials in one night. And, that's just one of those things that, especially since it was a church that was to be built, it was a matter of God putting it where He wanted it rather than man putting it where He wanted it. So, yeah. And if anybody has paranormal, supernatural encounters out there, Bigfoot sightings, alien abductions, yes, if you've been probed, do tell, inquiring minds and all that. Bigfoot sightings, any of the cryptozoological things. I don't know. Does Bruce count as a, cryptoid? I don't think so. I think Bruce is just Bruce. But anything that you've got like that is unusual, if you've had, experiences with or without substances, that it's a matter of questioning reality. Yeah, I've got cat pawing at the door violently. That's questioning my reality. Any of those, send them in an email to cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. If you just need someone to listen to you, very much willing to do that also. And you all have a beautiful, blessed day.